Hey everyone, Mark Saltzman here. You know, I don't write a lot about cars, but if it has some cool technology under the hood, I'm all over it. And that's why I was excited to get behind the wheel of this new car. This is the Chevy Volt, the 2012, and it's the next generation in hybrid vehicles. So it's got up to 580 kilometers of extended range, which is amazing for the kind of technology. So unlike the Toyota Prius, where it's an electric car and then it kicks into gas after a few kilometers, and unlike the Nissan Leaf, which is only electric, this car works a little bit differently. So yes, you do plug this in at night. Let me show you how that works. This is, if you want to come a little bit closer, you do plug this in like an electric vehicle, right? But after between 40 and 80 kilometers, depending on how you drive, the terrain, and the temperature, it's going to then, after that point, kick into a gas engine that does not drive the car, but it powers up that battery again. So you've always got a buffer, about 20-25% of that electric battery, that built-in lithium-ion battery, that's what you're driving off of. And therefore, it consumes a lot less gas because, again, you're not driving off the gasoline, you're driving off the electric battery, but the gas is powering it after you hit that typical daily commute of between 40 and 80 clicks. So what better place to test drive it than here in Alaska? And I'm going to show you some more cool things inside of the 2012 Chevy Volt.
All right, so this is what it looks like here on the inside. And as long as you show up with your fob, you don't actually need it to turn the car on. You could just, you know, put it down here and you step on the brake, press the power button, and you hear that cool little sound, and it gives you some information here, such as you know, what kind of a charge you're looking at for electricity, your total range left, your, you know, the amount of gasoline you've got, oil levels, everything you'd expect. There's also a nice little console here for nav information. There's built-in nav, and of course there's OnStar. Right, it's GM. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment, but here in Alaska with this kind of a view, it's a pretty sweet ride. So here we go. So we're ready to go. And here's, one thing before I turn off the camera. I'm going to stop talking for a moment and tell me what you hear. Exactly, nothing. This is what freaked me out driving, you know, a regular car back at home. This is an electric car that's, you know, running off the battery. There's no rumbling, there's no sound or sensation of a car running. The first time that I sat here, I was like reluctant to put it into drive because I thought, you know, hey, you know, I'm not, this car is not on, but it is indeed. So very cool stuff. All right, here we go.
So not having driven a lot of electric or hybrid vehicles, I was concerned about performance. You know, is this car going to have that pickup and that performance and handling that a regular gasoline-based car would have? And the answer is yes. You would not know that you're driving a hybrid vehicle when you're running off the battery or when the gas engine kicks in to power the electric battery. Like I said, outside of the car, you're not driving after the off the gasoline engine. What happens here, as you can see, in 16 miles, it's going to go into extended range. So what's going to happen is that the engine is going to keep that electric battery charged. So you can drive, you know, again, up to 580 odd kilometers before, you know, you get to your final destination and you want to plug in your car overnight. Oh, and on that note, it takes about 10 hours on a regular 120 volt, you know, regular plug in your garage, and you charge it up. It'll take about 10 hours to charge it up fully. But you can install a 240 solution, so you can then do it in about 4 to 5 hours, and that'll beef up your charge. But once again, you don't have that anxiety in other electric cars where, you know, once you're starting, like with the Nissan Leaf, where you're gonna run out of time because the battery's gonna die and you can't find a place to charge it up, or you have to even think about that. So that's one cool thing about the Chevy Volt and how it differs from other technology.
So as you can see on the left-hand side here, where it was green and it said we had, I think it was 21 miles left on full electric, it now says 338 miles. You can see that, and it switched to blue, showing that the gasoline engine is now powering the electric battery for that extended range. So
all right, so while we're stopped here for some construction, I'll explain this secondary console here. So we've been looking a lot at this one here. It gives you your battery and gasoline information. I mentioned that this was a nav unit as well as the rear view camera and front sensor, but it does a few other things, and it's very iPhone or iPad-like. It is a touchscreen. So here we're on nav, and you can set your destinations. We're heading back to Anchorage. You can also, of course, access the radio, both XM
as if it's got, you know, your satellite radio as well as AM and FM. But here in Alaska, we're not getting a lot of reception throughout the mountains. You can also do things like access your climate control all from here, and again, it's all touch-based, so it's very modern and very easy to navigate using your fingertips. So if you've ever played around with an iPhone or an iPad, you'll certainly get it pretty easily, and a bunch of other sort of bells and whistles, including what I like, being a tech guy, the ability to plug in a USB-based iPhone or iPad in the little console down here, and it'll play the music right off your device. Cool. So while I really like driving the Chevy Volt, and certainly it's got that power and performance that you want, yet it's environmentally friendly and fairly easy on your wallet compared to a lot of the premium cars. It starts at $41,500, and you get a provincial tax credit depending on where you live. In Ontario, it's up to $8,000, so that's a nice incentive. Not to mention the money you're going to be spending on gasoline, or not by buying as much gasoline as before. However, there are a few things that you should keep in mind before you consider buying this car. So critically, I just wanted to call out a couple of them. Number one, it's a fairly small sedan, not tiny, but I've got a family of 5. I couldn't buy this because if you look in the back seat, you've got seats for 2, and here my wife and I are in Alaska. We've got one big suitcase each, so we have to fold down the trunk into the back seat, so that's taking up that room. So if you're a family even of 4 and you want to go skiing or you want to go on a road trip, you might have some trouble when it comes to space. But overall, you know, you're gonna have to think that through, maybe tying some things to the roof and things like that. But keep in mind, it is a fairly small sedan. I don't know how they're billing it, maybe as a medium-sized sedan, but if you're a family of 4 who likes to travel, keep that in mind. Second thing is, you know, again, the price is I think quite good for what you get and all that money you're saving, but there aren't a lot of trimmings that you might expect on another car. And let me just change lanes here. So for example, there's like some things like you have to manually move your seat up by pulling that knob between your legs and pushing forward. It's not automatic, it's manual. Little things like that. There aren't sort of those high-tech extra little trimmings that you might get, even though I do like that USB port. And this video camera, by the way, that we're recording this on was charged up inside the unit here, so very cool. The last thing, and this might sound like nitpicking, but the GPS unit, while visually it works quite well, the sound is terrible. It's very compressed, and it sounds like there's 2 different voices as well. When it says, you know, turn left in 1.2 miles, for example, and then it says the name of the street, it does not sound like a human voice, and it's a different voice altogether. They're both women in this case. It's a female sounding voice, but it's very synthesized, and it is a different voice, so it's not fluid. It's they could have done a better job on that. So just some food for thought. Overall, a really great experience behind the wheel, and it should be also very good on the wallet as well. But again, just keep in mind those few things before you consider buying. So there you have it, the Chevy Volt in about 5 minutes. And as I said, you know, it's great for smaller families, or maybe as a great secondary car for even larger families, or for single sporty types. It's great on your wallet and on the environment, and really fun to drive. So I'm here at my final destination. I guess it's time to plug it in. So there you have it. Cheers.